You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to The Mountain Gardener, your host, Ken Lain, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. Can you believe we're just basically a few weeks away from spring. This is very exciting. I can't wait. It feels like spring is in the air. I mean, it's been warm. I'm not wearing as many layers, or I have to wear more layers and take them off quickly, getting down to your t-shirts or just one layer. That's kind of nice. Your plants are feeling the same thing. And so we've had several truckloads of plants come in. We need to fill the garden center up. We've got our 64th spring open house coming March 13th through the 15th. So where all of our growers come in, they showcase their flowers, the new fountains are in, the new colors of pottery is in. We're stocking up now. And the peony I've started, the very first, not all of them. We'll have a dozen varieties or more when it finally comes. But we are famous for our perennials, especially those that take a little longer to grow. So peonies are kind of like fruit trees. They need to be at least 3, 4, 5 years old before they're old enough, mature enough to bloom. And so most farmers are not going to hang on to a crop that long to finally sell them at a garden center, but we're catering to gardeners and they appreciate that. And so we'll have all the English varieties come in. So English peonies, they're already here. Or most of them. Some are already here. The Ito peonies, they're on their way. I think they'll be here next week. And so what's the difference? And how do you tell? So my peonies are already up out of the ground about a foot. They're a foot tall. So my Ito peonies. The English peonies, the eyes have just started. These little nodules coming up are just starting to break the garden surface. So they hibernate underground for the winter. So they've been hibernating since really November. And so now they're finally waking up. Just 4 or 5 months later, they've rested, and now they're going to come back and just ignite with new growth. And so that is happening as we speak. I mean, you can watch them grow by the week. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's a beautiful plant. Even without flowers, it's a beautiful plant, like a fern. Only the bonus is the flowers, the fragrance. Here's what I'm doing with my peonies right now. So I've cut them back. So all that foliage left over from last year, that's all cut back. Right back to that. Actually, I did that a month ago before they started elongating. That's why they're going to town. But cut those things back. Now, here's an insider tip that my name's Ken. We're just friends. We're neighbors talking over the back fence. This works for me, and it seems to make a difference. So peonies tend to bloom right when the thrip and the aphids are out, and they love the taste and fragrance just like you do. They're attracted to them just like you are. And so once I cut back my peonies, I am going to fertilize them with a completely non-organic fertilizer. It's rose food with systemic. It actually works on peonies really well. I'll sprinkle the rose food with systemic on my peonies and my roses. When I'm done pruning them back, I fertilize them probably every other month with that kind of stuff. And here's why. If I don't do that, thrip love to get down inside the bud and they'll eat the flower from the inside out. So I've had this damage, and it's once they're inside the flower, they're very difficult to control. So I know they're coming. And so I know they're going to be a problem, and they'll cause my peony, which should bloom for 2-3 weeks, to 2 or 3 days if I don't do that. And so that's kind of something I can tell you. It's granular. You sprinkle it on top of the ground, you water it in, it releases it fertilizes, makes great big flowers. But really what I'm after is the flower food plus systemic. The systemic piece inoculates or treats the entire plant from the inside out. And so the thrip can't get in there, and they're less prone to do as much damage. It's a game changer. Yes, you can spray it. You can do all kinds of drenches, all kinds of stuff. You can get really sophisticated, but I found that it's just too easy to prune them back, fertilize them with the rose food with systemic, and it just it doubles my bloom, doubles the flower size, doubles the flower time, how long they bloom. It's a game changer. It's only because we get thrip here worse than other places. So that's something I can share with you. But it's time to plant peony. This is another insider tip I can give you for not all perennials. Some perennials, we have a large crop and there's rotations going through it. Peonies, we grow enough for the season, for the first part of the season, and then that's it. When they're out, they're out. We don't want to carry this big, expensive, we've been taking 5 years to grow. We purposely, it's such a long crop to grow. We had to guess how many to grow years ago, and we don't want to guess over. We only want to guess short. So we want to leave the markets short. So with that being said, know that and grab them while you can. Don't wait and think about and dig your hole and contemplate it. They'll be gone. I'm telling you, they'll be gone. The reason is they're a little more expensive and they take so much longer to grow. And so we don't want a whole bunch left over. Whereas echinacea, that's totally different. That crop grows, it takes about 2 years to grow an echinacea. It's a third the time of a peony. So we can guesstimate over echinaceas, gaillardias, coneflower. You can just go right down the line. Vinca is like a weed. It's just easy to keep it coming in. We don't mind having overages, but peonies are different. The other thing I can tell you is if you're new to, let's say, perennials. Let's say you're coming from Southern California, Phoenix, Palm Springs, these deserty, more tropical areas. Most perennials do like to hibernate underground. And so you kind of go, where was that thing? Then it starts popping back up. Because they're hiding underground so long, it's really easy to have them get overwatered, to get soggy. So it's really important to have drainage. You want a nice, loamy garden soil. That's what perennials really like, but especially the drought hardy ones. So peonies, they literally will grow. They will outlive you and I. I mean, they're the longest living perennial flower there is. So they'll easily get 50 years out of them. I just talked to a gentleman. He's had one variety, heirloom, he got from his grandmother. He's been dividing it, planting it, redoing it for over 50 years and just retired here. So that's what peony do. You pass them down for generations. They're going to outlive all of us. So that's a beauty as long as the soil drains. That's the secret. Peonies are generally a bigger plant. I don't know why I didn't mean to go this far deep into peonies, but they're here. So I'm thinking about it. And I was out enjoying my own garden. So what you get on the podcast or the radio show is top of mind. This gardener, whatever I'm doing, that's what you get. So I'm cleaning things up. I'm finishing pruning. I'll probably start next week pruning my roses. Again, I think it's early. Generally, I'll say wait till March. Well, another week, it'll be the end of February. I'm getting anxious. I'm getting antsy. I just want to go do it. And so I'll probably start, and you can too. I'll let you know. Here's what I found. I found some bugs, or there's some disease I found, or here's how I'm fertilizer caring for them. Now that's what I'm sharing. So that's the peonies are done. I'm encouraging them to grow by fertilizing them with rose food with systemic, that secret. And then I'll do the same thing with my roses, next week. So I'll clean them up. I'll prune back most of the varieties back down to about knee height. All the hybrid teas, floribundas, grandifloras, ground covers, I'll prune them back to about knee level. And I'll spray them all with horticultural oil because I want to have them clean. I don't want any bugs or any eggs left over on those roses. And then I'll fertilize everything with rose food with systemic. And then I'll wait for the season. That'll just ignite them with new growth. You'll see. They will start blooming almost, 40 days after the day you prune them, they're in bloom. Full on bloom. You can almost count the days. It's this 40 to 45 days, they're in full bloom. That's kind of why you wait a little bit too for pruning back roses. So prune them back usually in March, and by the middle to the end of April, full bloom. They're just glorious. It's kind of fun to watch. I can't wait. I love flowers, and there's nothing easier at this elevation than a rose to grow. It's just so easy to grow compared to other parts of the country. All right, so we've got Lisa Watters Lain coming in with your garden questions right after this. Hi, Watters with the plants of the week and our double pink Linton Rose.
Stunning double pink flowers dangle from this amazing perennial.
And this flower stands apart from the rest for its tremendous color impact that starts in midwinter and then holds its blooms right through spring.
So tough it's rarely bothered by bugs and completely deer-proof.
Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. And we're back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. What are your neighbors asking, talking, thinking? And so we can glean a lot. In fact, the garden classes each Saturday, I kind of hang out until some folks are kind of more a little on the shy side. They won't ask a question. Others dominate the whole conversation. So there's this pot of people around me right after class gets done. And we just learn from each other back and forth. People listening in. Some don't even have a question. They just want to listen in. So we thought that'd make a good segment. We should just glean off the best questions and share them. So Lisa, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's good to be here.
Yeah. So you should share.
Yeah.
You just got back from Texas. Yeehaw. Our youngest grandson just turned 1.
Right.
How was that?
Benicio turned 1. It was so much fun. So I went because first birthdays are momentous. You have to enjoy those.
They're number 1. Lots of cake on the face.
He didn't really do that.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's a very neat child.
He's a beef jerky kind of guy, not a cake guy.
So I went to Austin to visit for a few days, had a lot of fun, and now I'm back.
Yeah, welcome. Glad to have. We missed you. The dogs missed you.
Yeah, well.
So glad to have you back in the studio.
Glad the dogs did.
What kind of garden questions do we have?
Sure. So our first question is from Patrick. He lives out in the Dewey-Humboldt area. And his basic question is there any shade tree that will survive only on rainwater?
Oh, okay. So Patrick, good. Yeah, you've got some native ones out there. Shade trees, though. You see, big trees need big roots, which need big water, which mean big foods, which means they're big. Everything's big about them, and they grow so fast. The native one that grows out in that area gets about 15 to just shy of 20 feet is desert willow. That's a wild one. Just on the side of the road, you'll see wild. It grows kind of shrubby looking, so multi-stemmed. You could grow it as a single trunk as well, and then force it a little bit of training. Be about a 15-foot shade tree. A true shade tree, I always think of as 30, 50 feet or more.
Taller.
Those, your hardiest varieties, hardiest of all of them, I would say of all the kind of true shade trees would be locusts.
Yeah.
So there's a golden locust or honey locust sometimes. Now be careful with your locusts, because you don't get a named variety, a hybridized one. They have huge bean pods on them. Yeah. The golden locust, we've bred that bean pod out of it. And so now it just has this glorious gold color in the spring, turns to green, nice umbrella shape, a true shade tree, takes that wind, and then its fall colors gold again. Then it's deciduous, that it'll lose its leaves in the winter. It's about to probably take off first part of April, I guess, would be a time it would start to leaf out. Depends on the weather. In Dewey, you'd be a few days ahead of it. But locust, probably the hardiest of all of them. The secret for you is going to be getting it from that container. Its only home has known is this bucket. You need to get those roots out into the surrounding soil so it becomes hardy to where it can live off the rainwater. Now, if you're rain harvesting, that is, you're taking the roof water and capturing it and then using that would be a great choice. If you just want it to survive by itself all alone, right off the way, even desert willow, the native one, is going to maybe struggle with that until it gets its roots in the surrounding soil. So the secret's going to be, and it takes about 2 growing seasons, so 2 springs. So you need to plant it now, it'll root, and you get to get through next spring's rooting, and then usually it'll go on its own at that point. So kind of depends on soil, some variables. Got to leave myself a back door to go, in case it dies, wasn't my fault. But usually they're going to root out enough to go down that path. If you want a large native that's evergreen, that could be a shade tree. We use it to block. We use it to screen things. Gets up about 20 feet tall, 12 feet wide. It's truly a big tree. Is Arizona cypress. And that one does grow wild here. It would do quite nicely. Could shade, but traditionally, a shade tree is a leafy deciduous tree. They grow a little faster, you get the canopy, and then you get the solar gain in the summer because the leaves drop in the winter. Then in the summer, it puts the leaves on and then it shades everything. So I would say come talk to us, take a picture of the spot, and we'll look to see what else is growing in that area. We'll go, yeah, boy, if that oak tree will grow there, this one will grow there too. But I would say for you, Patrick and Dewey, you're looking at desert willow, Arizona cypress, your locust, golden locust. And I would say there's a pin oak. There's a native oak that grows here too. Oaks have very deep roots. They're very robust. They're very tough. If it goes into a drought cycle, it might not grow as fast that year, but then when the rains do come, it takes off again. So it kind of ebbs and flows. So come talk to us and we can help you get the right tree for you. Easy. And you can plant, I would say, the sooner you can plant, if you're going to rely more on nature, the more months you can root out before the month of June, because June's the hottest month. That's the month that's the hardest to grow things. So if you can root out, plant it now and get all that spring, you can grow 18, 24 inches of roots in the surrounding soil before June. That's going to help you have a hardier tree going through that heat. Then the monsoons come and the pressure's off. It's that June, that doggone June is hot, dry, and the rains haven't come yet. So come see us, Patrick. You know where we're at, right? In Herndon, Prescott, just by the hospital.
Okay. Are you done? Okay. Next question is from Tony. So he lives on about an acre of land out in Chino Valley. He wants to put in several fruit trees, like 5 to 6. And his question is, how much width do you need between each tree?
Good question. So an acre, you should have plenty of room, Tony. You're good to go. Now, we should tell folks the definition of an orchard is over 6 trees. So 7 trees or more equals, I'm an orchard grower. I got an orchard of trees back there. I produce all my own produce. If you're into that, you're just a backyard garden. So Tony, go for the orchard. You're going to space them, whether it's an apple, a pear, a cherry, apricot, peaches, nectarines, plums, even almonds. They're all going to grow in Chino Valley really, really well. They love it out there. They love that soil. They love the wind. They just produce. They like the sun mainly. It's just got so much sun that produces beautiful fruits. You're gonna probably at the minimum about 15 feet up to 20 feet, somewhere in there. So I'd say 20 feet in between for standard size fruit trees. If you're going semi-dwarf, you can cheat that down to 15, maybe 14, somewhere in there, unless you're going to commit to pruning heavily every year. So we've had some of ours, we've planted every 8 feet, and we just knew we'd let the canopy get up to size and we would cut it back every year, not let it get larger than that. But just for Tony's question, in Chino Valley or anywhere, you're probably at 15-foot centers between spacing. That's not going to keep them from touching. It's going to reduce. It's going to increase your harvest. It's just going to be better. 15 feet
for standard.
For standard. Yeah. Actually, for semi-dwarf, I'd say 20.
Okay. For
standard. You get a big apple or pear, they get big. Those are 25, 30-foot trees. They need a little bit more spacing. But if they're semi-dwarf, they're going to be semi. The difference is standard is going to be your standard size your grandparents grew. They had no other choices but standard size trees. Then we introduced semi-dwarf. So we're grafting onto a different kind of rootstock that controls how big that plant gets. So we'll take that Bartlett pear. There's a standard that gets 30 feet tall, and then we'll graft it to a different rootstock. Now we have a semi-dwarf Bartlett pear. Same exact fruit. The tree, the structure changes. And so that's going to typically be about 20, 25% shorter than a standard tree. It's still a large tree, still big, but it's more manageable to pick the fruit with a fruit picker. You don't never need a ladder with a semi-dwarf. You do with the standard if you let it go. Then you've got genetic dwarf.
Yeah.
These are truly, truly pint-sized trees. They are tiny. Now, genetic dwarf, the fruit, so a peach tree, It's the same size peach. The fruit is not shrunk down, just the format of the foliage, the size of that tree is shrunk down. So you got standard, semi-dwarf, and genetic dwarf. Genetics we typically use in containers, cutesy flower beds, or kind of an accent piece. So there we go. We're out of time just like that.
We are out of time.
Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this.
Cocktail trees turn any backyard into a veritable farmer's market.
At Watters, we've grafted onto one tree different types of cherries, apples, and pears for easy backyard fruit picking.
These small fruit trees grow in containers just off the patio in smaller yards. Anyone can grow a fruit cocktail tree.
You'll find braided cocktail trees with multiple fruits beautifully braided into one tree.
Fruit cocktail trees are ready to plant at Watters Garden Center in Prescott and wattersgardencenter.com.
So each month, I curate a group of plants, companion plants. They look good in that particular month. So we have 12 pallets, 12 sets. And February is kind of a challenge because you're mainly dealing with evergreen stuff. Because March, things start to leaf out and bloom. Your forsythia are in bloom. The winter blooming jasmines are all in color. Daffodils are up. February, you're just on the cusp. You'll start to see some leaf growth on your roses, that kind of thing. But fruit trees are not blooming yet. Lilacs aren't open yet. They've got big buds. They might be cracking, but they aren't in bloom yet. So the palette for February, we focus on Arizona cypress. We've got Austrian pine, this beautiful, it's like a ponderosa pine, pint-sized. So it gets up to about 35 feet instead of 100 feet, but it holds its foliage right down to the ground. It's gorgeous, long needle, rich green. It's great for screening. So it's really the fastest growing of the pine trees. You've got mint julep juniper. This is a very large juniper. We use it for hedging, screening. It's 6 foot plus size, and you cannot kill that thing. It is right. It's just a tough little plant. Red clusterberry cotoneaster. Now, cotoneaster, this is a big one. So we've got native cotoneasters that grow here. There's a lot of them. This one is not the native, but it thinks it is. But it's much, much larger. Most of the native ones get up to about hip high to ground covery kind of things. This one's big, and it is robust. It doesn't get disease. Elk, deer, antelope, they don't eat it, so it's got a taste they don't like. So it's much better in that regard than, let's say, red tip photinia. They call it red cluster cotoneaster because in the spring, usually in March, it'll burst open with these clusters of flowers, and each of those flowers gets a red berry, and it's holding those berries right now. Actually, the birds are starting to eat the berries off of that plant, and so they kind of sometimes they get a little drunk on the fermented juice berry, but it's a bird attractor. It's like a party in your backyard. They just love it. The one I wanted to talk about, there's two. There's a Calgary carpet juniper. It's a real low growing ground cover type of juniper that is very pretty, very green. It's really good for a lawn replacement. We all have these rock lawns out there, and they're just sterile and dusty. And so you need some low growing kind of ground covery kind of things around that to soften up all of that rock. Calgary carpet's really good at creeping in between boulders. It takes the heat. There's no bugs that get on it. Rabbits aren't going to eat it. It's just got a lot going on it. I've got several rental properties. I like to use ground covered junipers because they're so robust. The tenants don't kill them unless a dog pees on them. Great Dane used it as his spot. Had that happen once, but rare, very rare. And so it grows really, really well. And we've got them. It's time to grow. You want to see what they look like now in winter? You come into the nursery, you look and go, yeah, I like that green. I'll take 3 of them. Let's go. And so they're good at holding in erosion control. That hillside where the snow is melting off, you're getting all the ruts coming through. It holds that thing right in. And a Calgary carpet, one plant will grow to about 6 to 8 feet wide. It's a good plant for drip systems because one drip emitter will cover this huge 6x6 area that holds the soil in place. Pretty green, softens up all the heat. It's another negative with AstroTurf. It's pretty, man, does it gets so hot in the summer. And so sometimes you put some of these lower growing things around it, and it'll cool things down some for them. That's where your creeping cotoneasters, your creeping junipers. Another companion that goes with Calgary carpet juniper is boxwood. And surprising, the reason I mentioned boxwood, the reason I like boxwoods this time of year, they're a pollinator. So the bees are going to come out as soon as we get some warm days. Looks like we're going in here in the Central Highlands, this central part of the state. We're starting to warm up. So we're going to get 60 degrees this weekend or close to it. And so the bees are going to be out and they're going to be foraging. They're going to be hungry. And so they need something to grab the pollen off and take it back to the hive. And boxwood, surprisingly enough, they're not famous for their blossoms, but the bees love the taste of that flower. It's usually the flowers. This is a nice evergreen, rich, waxy leafed shrub. Gets up about, I don't know, knee high to hip high or so. We use them often in like English gardens, that kind of thing. So you kind of borders up to the front of your house around the patio. But inside, up and down the stems, it'll start to bloom. And the bees just go after that, forage after it. It's got a slight fragrance to it. But if you're into pollinators, you're into attracting the wildlife into your yard, boxwoods are great evergreen color. And then it's a pollinator. Early spring. I say rosemary is another one that's like that. It has that real pretty blue flower to it. It's a very early bloomer. So the bees love that right off the bat because there's so little for them to forage for. So help the bees in your backyard by planting boxwoods, rosemaries, and Calgary carpet juniper. Anyway, we'll be back right after this. Hold on, don't go anywhere. Watters garden companions of February are peony, Calgary carpet juniper, pinyon pines, and lily of the valley.
Lily of the Valley is a gorgeous shrub that loves growing in the summer shade.
This bold evergreen delights with dramatic, fiery growth in spring.
Fragrant wedding cake layers of white flowers hover on graceful arching stems.
Each dainty flower is utterly detestable to deer and javelina.
Shop the most perennial shrubs in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com.
And welcome back to the Mountain Gardeners, Ken and Lisa Lain. We come each week and just kind of share some garden insight in the landscape. And Lisa takes this entire segment and we just get to see what she is seeing, her garden professional eyes out in the landscape, in the gardens. And so welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
What do you got for us this week? Are you feeling the spring bug starting to happen?
Well, definitely, especially now that the snow is melting and we've had some beautiful days.
Oh, it's been nice. Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely kind of like, oh, maybe I want to get out there. And we've got things coming in, plants coming into the garden center.
Yeah.
So people just know we did get some 1 gallon mammoth pansies in. These are ones we have specially grown. So they're like ready to pop into your containers right now, and they can certainly take this weather. They will be fine with that. We also have Dusty Miller. We have some ornamental kales and cabbages, violas, Johnny Jump Ups, snapdragons. So we've got some really nice color. If you need to refresh your pots and just bring a little color into your world, we got it.
I love those Lenten roses that you had come, or what's the other name of that? Lenten rose. Hellebores. Helleboris.
Both
so the Latin name. They're striking. I love that black one. That white with the dusty pink in the middle of it. It's glorious. They're all spring. They're all very early spring to late winter bloomers. This is the time when you find them at garden centers. If you're coming in end of April and May, we're not going to have any of these things you just mentioned.
Right.
We're moving over to geraniums, petunias, and zinnias, and all the summer things. So you plant these things now, and they last until summer hits. So finally, in June sometime, at least the flowers, like Lenten rose or hellebores, the flower will fade, but the foliage is evergreen, so it stays there. It just won't be in bloom with that fragrance of snapdragons. I mean, animals don't bother snaps.
That is true.
I mean, deer, javelina, they leave snapdragons alone. So plant those if you're in the forest.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a giant pansy. Oh, those
Yeah.
mammoth pansy, huge. They're like bigger than a silver dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Do people even understand how
Silver
big a silver
dollar?
dollar is? Am I talking to only 60-year-old, only our people our age, and all younger folks have
probably
never
true.
seen? They don't have silver dollars on my Apple Pay
No.
phone.
You know, so many places you go. I was in the airport because I was flying to see our grandson, and I bought something in one of the stores. And I was going to pay cash for it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't take cash."
Oh, really? That's interesting.
I'm like, and I think that's becoming more and more common, which is a topic for another show.
Yeah.
But speaking of silver dollars, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it will become a thing of the past.
Even credit cards. You can just have it on your phone, tap this.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even put the card in the slot anymore. You
Yeah.
just tap it, or everything is tapped anymore. I don't know how
True.
secure it is.
It's supposed to
But,
be more secure,
Okay.
but what do we
Yeah.
know?
Just travel to Eastern Europe to see how secure it really is. Pickpockets are.
Or not.
Anyway, what kind of garden topics we got?
Well, anyway, so yes, we have a lot of those wonderful spring little flowers if you want to redo your pots, but we also got in our fiber pot roses.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So the fiber pot roses are dormant, but they have really nice, usually 3 to 5, real super nice canes on them, good sized canes, which are your starts for your new growth in the
Yeah.
spring. And then they're also fully rooted out in their container, fiber container. So I'd probably call it like a 3-gallon
Yeah,
container.
probably right.
So it's got a nice root system in there, fully formed. So it can go into the ground now and be perfectly happy. It's not
Yeah.
like it'd be really hard to kill it. Let me put
Yeah.
it that way, unless you just kept it way too wet. But you have so much more forgiveness with these rooted out roses that are dormant to plant this time of year than you do any other time.
Yeah. So fiber pots. So you plant the pot and all. Just take it out of the wrapping, put it in the ground with the pot, and the roots go right through the basically peat moss based pot.
Mhm.
And so it's so easy to plant them. They're a good root size. The difference between that and bare root. So we used to sell hundreds of bare root roses. These are roses that basically you rip them out of the ground and they have no roots. There's no soil, no nothing. You put them in the ground and over half of them fail. So if you ever tried that, you're going, I don't know, I don't have green thumbs. They keep dying on me. It's because you're planting something in a very arid climate without roots. You're doomed from the get-go. The fiber pots we planted last year, rooted them on for a year, and now we've got them at the gardens. So they're last year's bare root that we've flushed the new roots out, and that's why the success rate goes off
Mhm.
the charts.
Definitely.
Have you got a favorite that you like?
Well, we did get some new ones. We're having Floribunda, tea rose, grandifloras, and some climbers and some shrub ones. So one of the new grandifloras out there is called Quest for Zest.
Oh, no, that's new. Huh?
It's a yellow grandiflora rose, brand
Nice.
new 2024 selection. And it has cool thing about it is it has a very lemony scent.
Oh,
to it.
nice.
So
Fun.
that's
Yellow with
unusual.
lemon.
That's, so
That's
you kind of get
apropos.
it is. So I would definitely try that one out. I love the smell of lemons and that kind of stuff. So it would be really a fun one to try, especially it's a really bright yellow. So definitely would stand out there in the yard and be very, very attractive. One of the more shrub miniature type ones we're getting is called Midnight Fire. So this one it's a purple flower, but it has orange over the top of it.
Oh, that's unusual.
Yeah.
Ah,
So it just
thus
looks
midnight fire.
Yeah. Looks really cool. Kind of a variegated, but just unusual color combination. So that one would be a really nice one to try. We're also getting there's a climber that is very unusual. It's called Golden Opportunity. So it's a climbing rose that's a Floribunda.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, that's unusual.
No, I'm sorry. Wait, no, it's a climber that's a tea rose.
Oh, big flowers.
So it has big flowers on it. So it's definitely going to stand out. It's kind of a gold color, hence Golden Opportunity. But it's the only one of its kind. There are, especially within the group that we buy from, it's the only climber that is a tea rose as well. So really kind of cool.
You know, big old flowers that are fragrant that
Mhm.
climb up the side of a barn or trellis or fence.
Right.
That's
Definitely. Another really cool climber we're getting is called Rock and Roll. And it's a red and white variegated one. It just really stands out. And it also has a really strong, I don't want to say odor, smell, fragrance.
Yeah.
So they rate these on like a 1 to 10 scale.
Yeah.
And this one's a 10 out of a 10 for
Oh,
fragrance.
cool. So it's
it's
called
got
what again? Rock and roll?
rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's a climber with a wonderful little fragrance on there. And then we're getting a couple that a lot of people remember the David Austin roses. They're real multi-petaled rose. So they just have a very
Almost looks
distinct
like a peony. The
Right.
flower has so many petals.
Yeah.
Looks like a peony.
Right. So we're getting 2 of those. We're getting the Queen Elegance.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
And it's a pink one that's very multi-petaled, and then also all dressed up, which is another kind of pinkish color that just have that real full look to them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're getting some of our standards. If you like Double Delight, if you love fragrance,
Yeah,
Double
Delight's
Delight
got it.
is the one for you. Also, Chrysler. Chrysler
Yeah.
is a red, very fragrant one.
Classic.
We're getting the Don Juan, which is a red climbing rose, which I think that rose has been around since the beginning of time.
Yeah. It's a pretty red. It's a big flower.
Very dark red, big
Yeah.
flower, just a consistent bloomer. Does really, really well. We're getting, what was the other one I was looking at? Ginger Snap was a real pretty orange
Yeah.
color. Drop Dead Red, which is a tea rose, which is just a really nice dark red as well. Cha-ching, which is I think it's like a yellow, but it's a deep yellow, very, very beautiful. So nice selection coming in. I would really encourage people to come check them out. It is a wonderful time to plant these.
This is a time, if you want the new varieties, you get them in fiber pots. You get them now because we won't have those. We've got 1,000 roses coming the last week of April since we're out of frost. But those are all the standard ones. You don't have we have more roses, but less choices for the new, the latest, greatest, the ones you're seeing in all the magazines. Those you want to get now. Don't wait. So anyway, Ken and Lisa, thank you, Lisa, for sharing this year's rose selection we planted now. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this. Watters Garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at watersgardencenter.com. So last weekend, I had put together a garden class on how to grow better fruit trees, which ones grow, especially at higher elevations. So the problem with Arizona is we've got so many elevations or growing zones from anywhere from 3 to 4 in the White Mountains, Flagstaff, the high elevations, the ridge lines, all the way down to the deserts, which are 10, 12. And that's going to be how cold do they get and when do they bloom? So fruit trees at high elevation, sometimes they get tricked into blooming too early and they're exposed to frost. And so our average frost dates, even for you folks over in the Verde Valley, Sedona, Camp Verde, Cottonwood, those, or the other side of the hill, Hillside, Kirkland, Skull Valley, you still have frost well into April. And so the rest of us here in this other parts of Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Paulden, we're up about 5,000 to 5,500, something like that. We've got frost until first part of May. And so you need fruit trees that will bloom real late in the season so that we get them out of that risk. The challenge we have is you got that box store buyer says, I'm in charge of 50 stores here in the state. Send 50 of those apples to all my stores, to each of my stores. And they might be for desert varieties. They bloom real early because they want to bloom in super early so they get them out of that heat of summer. We want them blooming late so we get them out of the risk of frost. So the same fruit tree is not going to be good for every one of those stores. You need, if you're doing fruit trees and doing them well, you really need to do your homework or buy from a reputable garden center. I would say head to your Warners up in Flagstaff. Go over to Plant Fair over in Payson. Come to Watters here in Prescott. We know which fruit trees, and we're trying to make sure you have success in your backyard. This is one where you really want to get some professional advice, and Google is not a source. OpenGPT is not going to help you. They're going to confuse you. You need local experts or a neighbor that's doing well with that, and you need to talk to gardeners to get it right. And so for your fruit trees, you've got chilling hours. When you look at that, it'll say, oh, plants are programmed to go through so many hours of cold below freezing before they bloom. And so we call them chilling hours. And you want, at this elevation, you're going to want a fruit tree that has, I would say, at least 650 to 700 chilling hours or more. So get it closer to 1,000 chilling hours, and it's going to bloom the end of April instead of February, first part of March, when you've got more frost. And so up here, you cannot grow. This is you poor Phoenix folks, Palm Springs, Tucson. You are not allowed to grow citrus up here. It's just not going to winter over. It's going to die. And so it'll take the summer, but citrus and avocados, everyone wants to grow those. You can't have them. Sorry, they're not going to winter over for you unless you've got a greenhouse. So, you cheat it. You bring it indoors, in the garage. Yeah, then you're protecting it. But if it's outside in the gardens, you want to go with apples and pears. You want to go with cherries, peaches, nectarines, apricots, plums, almonds. You can go with grapes and berries, blackberries and raspberries. All of these do fantastic. They love the cold. They're going to go right through like a champion. And then once you figure out what variety, so I love plums. I want to grow more plums. Get the plum you like. And then you look at the chilling hours. You want at least 600, 650 or more. So apricots are always the first ones to bloom in spring. They're just programmed. They bloom first. And then it would be nectarines. Then you go to peaches and cherries and plums. And then you go to apples and pears. There's a rotation. So if you're just starting out, start with the latest bloomers possible. Apples and pears bloom latest in the season, so they are the most consistent at producing fruit every single year. Then I would say it goes to peaches and cherries. So it's kind of the next most consistent because they bloom a little later than apricots and nectarines. So you just kind of look at that. With apricots, I only sell, there's probably 10, 15 varieties, most of them desert varieties. So, but Tilton, Mormon, and Harcott, those three varieties of apricots do well. They've proven themselves up at this elevation because out of all of the apricots, they're the latest ones to bloom out of all of the apricots. And so we reach in to curate that for you. Again, we want you to have success. We know that you're going to struggle with blooming too early, and you don't necessarily, once they get up to size, you can't cover them. They're just too big. And so you want things that just naturally will produce fruit every year. And so that's kind of the insider tips to that. Now is the time to plant them. The other one to watch is fruit trees need to be at least 5 to 7 years old before they're old enough to start blooming, producing fruit. They got to be a certain age. They're like teenagers. Once they hit their puberty, at about 7 years old, they start to actually change their voice. They start going, yeah, I'm going to put on some apples here. And so you'll see at a lot of box stores, warehouses, you're going to see cheaper trees. The reason they're cheaper is because they're younger. If you got to hold that tree for 7 years, some of my trees are 10, 12 years old. How long have you been nurturing, watering, caring, pruning, shaping that tree before it comes in? It's, of course, going to be a little more expensive, but it's a fruiting age. A whip is what we call it, a younger tree. Whips are very inexpensive. Those things are, they'll be half the price because they're half the age, but the trunk is going to be smaller diameter. It's not going to have defined canopy or branching. So the other thing is when we actually have these things at the farm, we're actually shaping them every year, twice a year, making sure the structure or the scaffolding on that tree is already defined for you. So if you get a whip, you're going to have to do that yourself and top it, graft it, and kind of nurture it and shape it so it grows into the shape that you want. For the love of gardening, whatever you do, an ugly tree never gets beautiful. It just becomes larger and uglier with age. So if it's got a dog leg, that does not straighten out. it just becomes thicker, bigger, dog-legged, just crook to it. If it's got an open, bare side to it, that's probably going to keep that way. So you really do want to hand pick. You really want to get a good quality looking trees, but especially fruit trees. And then when you're planting fruit trees, make sure that they're straight. Don't let them lean. So we get this prevailing southwest wind that blows at us. And so no matter what, they bloom typically, and then they leaf out, and they catch that southwest wind. So you see a lot of fruit trees leaning to the northeast. They just have this lean to it. Then they'll load up with 5 bushels of pears, and they just literally drop over. So it's super important that first year to 2 years, make sure that thing grows straight as an arrow, right up. That way, when it loads up with fruit, the weight is distributed over that trunk area evenly. If it starts to lean, it's certain to put pressure on that trunk, and it can literally fall out of the ground. I've seen that more than once, where the roots literally leap out of the ground because it just loaded up with so much fruit. A fruit tree can hold hundreds and hundreds of pounds of apples, of peaches. Oh my gosh, cherries do unbelievably up here. I mean, the harvest last year was just ridiculous. I mean, it was just over the top. It was so fun. Oh my gosh, so much canning, so much drying, so many leather, there was so much fresh fruit. My mouth's watering just thinking about it. It's so good. If you leave an apricot on the tree that last week, it just becomes much healthier for you. But those last few bits of sugar make it much tastier. Apples, they'll last a long time on the tree, but they're always picking them early, so they are hard. And so they last longer on the shelf in the grocery store. If you keep them on the tree, that last few days, game changer. Fresh fruit is so much better for you, so much healthier, and so much better tasting than store-bought. It's kind of like a tomato, only on an entire on a tree size. It's that. And you're not going to have to worry about, E. coli coming across the border because rats got into the bin and now they're poisoning. You know what they've been sprayed with. You know they're organic. You know they haven't been waxed and picked for harvest or for shelf life instead of for nutrients. Growing your own fruit in your backyard is great. I should mention, I'm out of time. I should mention cocktail trees. I'll come back after this and mention cocktail trees and what they are right after this.
Cocktail trees turn any backyard into a veritable farmer's market.
At Watters, we've grafted onto one tree different types of cherries, apples, and pears for easy backyard fruit picking.
These small fruit trees grow in containers just off the patio in smaller yards. Anyone can grow a fruit cocktail tree.
You'll find braided cocktail trees with multiple fruits beautifully braided into one tree.
Fruit cocktail trees are ready to plant at Watters Garden Center in Prescott and wattersgardencenter.com.
So I keep having friends going, Ken, so tell me, the insider scoop, is it really that hard to find employees, staff members, people who work at the garden center? And I went, no, not for us. We've got too many. The quality is coming in as fantastic, but we put together a place that's great to work at. It's family oriented. We team oriented. We support each other. It's a family. We like coming to work together, and we're basically we have a certain kind of person we're very selective on who we let into the team. And so if you just want to be hired, that's probably not going to get you in. If you want to talk to someone, get a friend, or there's references, if you're just breathing, that's not what we want. And we purposely have posts, social media things to keep some people out. And so we just had it's not that offensive. It's kind of funny. We had a TikTok video that just went viral. Actually is on Facebook, Instagram, but TikTok really went crazy with it. Well over 2 million views. It's crazy. It quadrupled our following just like that in one post. So we're basically Facebook people. That's gardeners or Facebookers. Instagram, that active younger, about 10 years younger than TikTok's. They're even younger yet, but they love their videos. And so this one, what we did, we're making an all call for turn in your application, but we only want certain kinds of people. So we're mocking the kind of person we don't want to show up. And it's a gardener watering their gardens. They're taking a hose with a fan spray. They're filling up a watering can and let the watering can water the plants. It's totally hilarious. That doesn't even make sense. What's going on? And the caption is, what kind of staff member are you? If you're this, don't apply. We actually ask more people not to apply than to apply, because we only want certain kinds of people. We want people that are hungry, humble, and smart. That's kind of our filter. You're hungry, not that you're hungry, but you just want to show up. You want to be there. You want to be a part of a team. You want something. You don't wake up and go, oh, don't know if I want to go in today. That's not hungry. Hungry is, oh, it's my day to work. This is going to be great. Humble is you can take some instruction. Some people, you instruct them, they get offended. Go, yeah, but you did it. You backed the truck in wrong, or that's not how you unload. That's not how you help a customer. That's not how. And you can't take instruction. You're too, I don't know what that is, but there's just some of that. You never last very long if you can't. Even I like to learn new things. I'm okay with learning. I'm okay with instruction. Look me in the eye and say, hey, boss, there might be a better way. I'm going, do share. So some folks take that. We're looking for folks that are hungry, humble, and smart. Not IQ smart, people smart. Some folks just, they read the room. They know we're surrounded by customers. If you don't like people, don't apply. Please, for the love of gardening, don't apply if you don't like people. We are a people business. We just help plants and people connect each other. And so there's some folks that are really smart. They know how the dynamics of a room. So they're people smart. So we're looking for those kinds of folks. And so the posts that we put out there on social media, some of them are a hoot, whether it's part-time, full-time, retired, younger, first job, doesn't matter. We want folks that are hungry. They like to show up, humble. They don't mind instructions or joining in, giving their opinion. But if the team goes in a different direction, they're okay with that. They go, oh, that makes sense. Let's do it. And then smart, people smart. So to over 2 million views on TikTok. That's gigantic. Usually you'll have a few hundred. To have millions is nuts. And so it's just because we're mocking ourselves sometimes, going, this will be a fun post. Let's see what happens. Anyway, throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Watters Garden Center. We love talking to fans of the show. And if you've thought about working at a garden center, please do. We love people that are hungry, humble, and smart here at Watters Garden Center. Watters Garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.